Hello and welcome to another episode of No Splinters. Me and Harv are back once again, but this time we're joined by another guest, former friend, current friend, former king of Fallowfield. It's Adam Malik. Welcome, the Cough. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. I'm happy to be here. I've looked at my Spotify 2020 top podcasts, and you guys managed to be on there at number four, even though you've only been around for 2 months.
You see, we're breaking waves. I don't know what the saying is, but obviously we're
Making waves, mate. Making waves.
making waves. Welcome Malik onto the pod. He's a Spurs fan. We've got a few things to discuss, namely Liverpool Spurs coming up this week. But I've just going to throw it over to Harv. This week we've got a sponsor, haven't we, Harv?
I believe so, mate. Yeah, we don't work for free. Got to earn us crust. Yeah, so this week the Harrogate CBD company, they're sponsoring the podcast. So we're doing a free delivery. Anyone that spends over £60 on the website gets a free bag of the Harrogate Coffee Company Christmas blend and free delivery on all orders over £60. And if you want 10% off, I'm being generous. If you just put reload 10 in the checkout, you get 10% off all orders.
Oh,
So that's hgcbd.co.uk.
very, very kind of them all. Happy days. I think we'll just get straight stuck into it. Obviously, if you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. If you're listening on Spotify, make sure you press follow, etc. But yeah, I think we'll get stuck into the Premier League. We obviously went over last week a few results, and I don't think we got many right. We got one right, didn't we? Burnley.
Yeah.
I think we all like Arsenal seeing losing. No one more than Adam. But we'll jump straight into Liverpool. Malik, what do you reckon? The Liverpool game. I mean, I think I'll have the last word probably on this one.
I mean, wasn't expecting that result. I think a lot of people captain Salah in their fantasy, assuming that he'd probably get two or three, maybe four goals. I think it was quite a poor game from Liverpool. I didn't expect Fulham to be that bright and attacking. They gave a couple good opportunities. I think there was probably a time where they could have even been two, maybe 3-0 up. And yeah, I think Liverpool were lucky to get that a draw and leave Craven Cottage with a point.
Yeah, no, I mean, what about you, Arv? I mean, I'll go at the end
Well,
of this one.
I said last week, Scotty Parker, he's found a way to win games. And again, I'm just looking at the stats. Fulham, 25% possession. Liverpool, 75. But it's not about how much you have the ball. It's what you do with it. And it has to be said, as Liverpool are the luckiest team in Europe, you've time and time again been bailed out by VAR. Klopp again. Well, how's that not a penalty in the first half? He's wiped him
Absolute
out.
nonsense.
He's wiped his standing leg out. It's a penalty all day for me. I think you've got away with one again. You got a lucky penalty against Leeds, a team that you should be beating. You give it all that you were the best team in the world last week, and you couldn't even beat Fulham at Craven Cottage.
I mean, luckiest team in Europe. I think it's probably the opposite. I agree on terms of the Fabinho penalty. Was it a penalty? Wasn't it? It's a tough one for me. You've seen them give them, but I think if 10 years ago, that's never a penalty. It's a brilliant challenge. Um, it's a tough one to argue either way. Obviously, it went Liverpool's way, and you look at the bad luck they've had this season. I think we're due some. Terrible first 30 minutes. I watched the game. Watching the game back, and you've just got to think there's a real lack of urgency. For me, I thought the game changed when Henderson at centre back. It seemed the second half we sort of seemed to definitely step it up. Much more impressive as a side. I think Fulham deserved a point, though. I mean, whether they deserve 3 points or not is probably the debate, isn't it? They maybe deserve more than three. They probably deserve the win more than Liverpool. I thought we were really poor. I think there's no getting away from it. This weekend it was sloppy. I don't really know what's going on. You look at the fortress at Anfield, the impressive victories against the likes of Leicester and Wolves in recent weeks. We've absolutely blitzed them. A great result against Ajax, and yeah, obviously on the road we struggled, especially at sort of the poorer teams. And it's a weird one. You'd have thought. I still think we'll win the league. I think we're the best side, but you look at it and we're only like 4 or 5 points in front of Manchester United, and they've got a game in hand, and they've been terrible this year. And it's quite a bizarre one. But we weren't the only team that dropped points this weekend, and I think that man that's behind Adam, if you're watching on YouTube, you'll see the god of Chelsea. He's there with he's got the white and blue flags on the Premier League trophy, with his three fingers up. That's the Chelsea manager that Adam's supporting here. You've got the Chelsea badge in the background. I'm confused. Are you supporting Spurs or Chelsea this season?
No, that's for he's holding up a picture of him winning it next year.
Oh, is it? Is
Yeah.
it? Oh, I can see the Chelsea badge though. Are you sure he's the Chelsea legend? Are you, have
Need
you,
your
have you
glasses
grown
on,
to
Harry.
like Mourinho now? Then Adam, at the start, I remember you were very anti Mourinho. It was a bizarre one, and he seems to be a hero now.
Yeah, I didn't take the Pochettino dismissal well at all, and I think it's taken me a while to buy into it. I think the Amazon documentary did help. It seems that Mourinho is a better character than I thought. I do think he's got us playing in a way that not the most exciting, but I feel like there is a strong possibility of silverware this year. The bookies have us favourite to win the Europa League, and I think the Carabao Cup joint with City. So yeah, can't complain if he's going to bring us titles and maybe even the Premier League. Then can't really complain who we've got or what kind of style of football we play.
Yeah, but this weekend, obviously, you dropped points away at Crystal Palace. I mean, a sloppy mistake from their keeper. I think he more than made up for it as the game went on. Really impressive performance towards the end of the game. But obviously, that mistake from the swerving ball from Kane was pretty bizarre. You happy with the point away at Palace? I mean, notoriously, it's a hard place to go with fans, and obviously there were a few thousand in there, and I think that is making a difference now that they're back in.
Yeah, I think it's definitely made a massive difference. I don't think any teams lost with fans except for West Ham, I believe. So yeah, it does make a massive difference. I do think Spurs were pretty poor in the second half. I think there was about 20, 25 minutes where Palace were all over us. Zaha and Eze were just linking up beautifully. I think Eze is an absolute steal at 17 million for Crystal Palace. Yeah, and I think we just completely struggled. We did look a lot lost defensively at times. The goal was good cross in. I think it was pretty obvious what he was trying to do, where he was trying to get it in with Lloris, and Lloris didn't really have visibility of the ball until it was pretty much coming towards him. But no, I wouldn't say I'm happy with the point. Obviously, we needed three. I think Goey was unreal, made 4 or 5 world-class saves. And yeah, he gave them a point at the end of the day. But no, not happy with it at all.
What do you reckon, Harv? Did you catch much of it?
Yeah, I watched the game. I enjoyed the game. I think they should have renamed it the National Express Derby, though. You know, part of the bus special from both managers throughout the whole game. I mean, Mourinho's great against teams that come at him, but Palace. It was just such a like a I don't know. It was like just really physical. I thought Kane was excellent again. Son. I mean, what a player he's going to be this season. But you always thought they needed that second goal. And as the game went on, I echo Malik's point on Eze. I mean, he was brilliant for QPR in the Championship. I'm gutted we didn't go for him. But, you know, you could see a set piece was going to come at some point. Now, we'll caveat that the keeper had a shocker for the first goal. But, I mean, Jesus, I have not seen a keeper play like that at all this season. I mean, the second half, the last 10 minutes, some of the saves he was pulling off on the day, you just got to say fair play to the lad. Like you're just never going to get that second goal when the keeper's making saves like he was saving. The one off Kane from about 5 yards was one of the best saves you'll ever see.
Yeah, that one down to his left-hand side. Obviously, it was the free kick from Dyer, I think, that was going top bins last sort of couple of minutes, which was a great save as well. Is it Yetta? I think he's Yetta or whatever his name is. He's definitely made up for that mistake early doors. It was a poor error, but to be fair, I think the Spurs probably deserved a couple of goals when you look at the chances. So in terms of expected goals, I'd have imagined that he came out in the green. And obviously, we've had a look at the fixtures from the midweek fixtures, and obviously the one that sticks out is the Liverpool Spurs game. It's a massive game, top of the table, both on the same amount of points. It's not as much of a 6-pointer. I'm not saying it's a title decider at all. I mean, there's so many sides that are in the hunt, and it's not like it's sort of anyone's clear. But it's a massive game. I think you look at Liverpool's record at Anfield, it's just phenomenal. I think it's about 65 on the bounce now. They've unbeaten. This season, I think they've got maximum points at home. Spurs, I think it'll be a real sign of intent. You look at a couple of results Spurs have had, going away to Old Trafford and obviously beating Man City at home. They're and drawing away at Chelsea wasn't a terrible result. I think Mourinho's turned up in the big games. The Mourinho of old, where he got performances when maybe Spurs weren't deserving. And I go back famously to the 2013-14 season, and Mourinho, when he turned up at Liverpool and they won 2-0, the famous Gerrard slip. You worry if he can perform. He can get a performance out of obviously Son and Kane. What do you reckon? How do you reckon it's going to go? For me, I think Liverpool will do enough. I think it's going to be a really tight game. I think it'll be quite boring. I think Mourinho obviously sit back and try and play the similar way that he's. I know, Adam, you think that it's a bit of a myth the way that Mourinho has been playing, but you look at some of the games. I know they've scored goals they've sort of blitzed a few teams when they've got a lot of goals, like West Ham and Man United. But in the main, they have been playing pretty defensive, counter-attacking football, and I can see them coming to Anfield, sitting behind, and I reckon Liverpool will nab a 1-0 victory. But what do you reckon, Adam?
Think it's going to be really. I think it's going to be open, like you said. I think without having Van Dijk and Gomez, and I don't know if Trent's going to be able to play a full 90 minutes. He did get taken off a bit early on the weekend. I do feel like once we do have that ball, and if we have what we've been doing against the teams like Southampton, West Ham this season, United, City, and we're having Kane playing it out to the wingers, I feel like we could probably nab maybe 2-3 goals, maybe just from counter-attacking football. I do understand why you think it might end 1-0, but I've got a bit of faith in this game. I know Anfield's not an easy place to go the last couple of years, but the way we're playing in the style that Jose plays against the big teams, I don't see why we can't walk away with all 3 points.
Oh.
No, for me, I think watching Liverpool against Fulham, and you can clearly see when Matip goes off, you look very vulnerable at the back. And the way Klopp's carrying on at the minute, it just seems like he's picking the wrong battles. I think when you're the reigning champions and the best team in the world, according to yourself, Harry, and Liverpool fans across the globe, you shouldn't really be moaning like they were moaning against Fulham. And I think Spurs have got 2 world-class players, but I think the form of Kane and Son this season has come from actually the way Mourinho's setting up the midfield. It starts from the backroom Mourinho team, and I think Spurs are really solid at the back. And I just think as the game goes on, Liverpool are going to play a high line, regardless of who's playing at the back for yourselves. And if you watch Kane and Son play, Kane is literally just playing a ball over the top because he knows Son is going to get there at some point. And it's interesting. I was looking at the bookies odds, and Spurs are 130 to win at Anfield. And I tell you what, I think the bubble will burst at Anfield. I think Spurs will have too much from on the day. You're in bad form. Spurs are playing well, and when Mourinho's got the bit between his teeth, he knows that if he wins the league with Spurs, that will solidify him as one of the best ever managers in the Premier League. And I just fancy Mourinho to really do a job on Klopp on Wednesday.
That CBD that you guys are selling, it's quite strong. Must be. You're feeling all right this year.
It makes you, chilled out, and you can see things from all points of view. It gives you some really good. You should try some, mate.
Maybe you should. I've tried some. Maybe you should tone down the doses of. The Spurs with a chance at Anfield. Not a chance for me. I think I look at the way the Spurs have played. Yeah, they played some all right football. Harry Kane's the best player in the world at the moment, in form. But other than that, there's a lack of depth. There's a lack of quality in the Spurs squad. I mean, everyone now thinks Højbjerg's a second coming of, I don't know, Paul Scholes, Steven Gerrard, Frank Lampard all in one. Not for me. I look at Spurs. I think Liverpool can get at them quite comfortably. The front 3 of Liverpool take any side to pieces on the day. The back 4's a bit shaky. I think Matip's gone down with an injury. But you look at, we were putting our 2 centre defensive midfielders in at centre halves, and I mean, not many sides will be using their 5th and 6th choice centre backs and still be favourites to win a Premier League, which Liverpool are. And I think we'll show why we're the best side in this country, and it's a huge game. I mean, if Liverpool do win, I think that it's a real statement of intent. I mean, to be fair, I'll hold my hands up if Spurs come back and get a result. Then I will acknowledge they're in a title race, because for me at the moment, I don't see Spurs as a challenger. I think Manchester United have more of a chance than Spurs of winning the Premier League.
Give over, mate. I mean, you realistically think that Ole, the PE teacher, who can't even get his £300,000 a week midfielder to want to play or stay at the club, is going to manage a team above Jose Mourinho, a proven winner and a proven football man? Give over. I mean, Klopp is a big crybaby. I'm loving it personally. The more Klopp cries, that he's doing more damage to your asterisk title win last season than anyone else. You can get slagged all you want, but the more Klopp carries on, the lower his stock goes, mate.
I can see him easily ending up like Mourinho as well, where he can become toxic in the dressing room. The way he's acting in front of the cameras, God knows how he's acting with the players in the tunnel.
Oh, I mean, how quickly everyone turns. I mean, yeah, I agree. He's had a few poor performances in front of the cameras this week, but Jurgen Klopp's still the man. He knows what he's doing. Those players play for him. And no, my point on the Manchester United thing, Arv, is that I think if Manchester United were to get rid of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer tomorrow, I think that, and bring in a top-class manager, Pochettino, someone who was obviously Adam Malik's hero once upon a time. I think if Pochettino is in Manchester United with the squad that they've got from now to the end of the season, he'll end up far better placed than Jose Mourinho will. But we'll leave it on that one, I think. I mean, yeah, I'll have the final word, and seeing it is in my show. Moving on, obviously, the City United game was the main feature of a podcast last week. And to say it didn't live up to any expectations whatsoever would probably be an overstatement. It was one of the worst games of football I've ever seen. And that goes along with Manchester United at home against West Brom, Manchester United at home against Chelsea, Manchester United at home against Arsenal. I mean, I think I've got 4 of my worst 5 performances I've ever seen, all from the theatre of dreams. What do you reckon? What do you reckon to that game?
I think 4 shots on target in a derby is disgraceful to watch. I think it was just absolutely boring. I think it was embarrassing that a team like Manchester City, who've had a bad start to the season yet still are the bookies' favourite to win the Premier League, seem to go there to park the bus. I think no team there, whether how Man United need to play it safe, whether Solskjaer is trying to keep his job safe, no one should be parking the bus for a 0-0 in a derby and an important game like that. 2 points for either team there would have put them in a great position, and I just don't understand what either team are thinking. I think City's recruitment's been poor in the last couple of years. I think Jesus is dreadful. I've been calling him the Brazilian Tammy Abraham over the last couple of weeks. Yes, I just think there's a lot of work City need to do as well.
Yeah, I mean, the only time I've ever watched a Manchester United game and absolutely the one time I need VAR to give Man United a penalty because I had Fernandes first goal scorer 8-1 and they overrule it. I mean, that was the only exciting thing of the game for me. But no, I just think that, I mean, Phil Foden, we've seen him come on for England now. When is he? Why is he not playing in that game? It was crying out for someone to do something different. And Man United, fair enough, that's the way they're playing at the minute. They're not in good form, so they're going to take what they get. But Pep really disappointed with the way he approached that. It's almost as if he was just happy to go through the motions and pick up points elsewhere. I just really don't understand what that achieves for a club like Man City. Surely winning that, your fans will appreciate that more than any other win this side of Christmas. If I was a Man City fan, I'd be saying, what are you doing? He makes 1 sub all game, but yet he's crying out for 5 subs. It's completely contradictory. These top managers have got some opinion of themselves. They literally, I think football's so fickle that they all want to keep their jobs that they're scared to go out and play football at the minute. And I think at some point it's going to have a detrimental effect on the league.
Yeah, he just signed a new contract though, didn't he? So I don't understand why he is playing it so safe.
2 years, 2-year extension, isn't it, to the end of 2023, I think. For me, Manchester, I totally agree pretty much with both points. I thought it was a terrible game, and the way they set up was really poor. If you had to give sort of a mention of who the better side was, I think it probably would be Manchester United. Although I think Man City had they definitely had the clearer cut chance. Mahrez should have buried that early in the first half. It was a really good chance. Pretty simple opportunity. But other than that, there's a real lack of quality. I just felt that Man City have really lost their way over the last 2 years. There's no zip. There's no spark. There seems to be a lack of intensity in the middle of the pitch. It was like they were going out there with I would call in boxing sparring. There was no real intent, like desire to sort of win the game. It was like the game passed it, or each of those players, it seemed to pass them by. I don't know who is it. The company factor. Is it obviously
David Silva's shaped hole in the middle, mate? That's all it is.
Absolutely, but you look at I look at Phil Foden's performances this year, and I agree with you. I mean, I remember he was on the bench against West Ham, and he came on second half, and he won man of the match dubiously, but he was still Man City's best player. Since then, he went away with England. He scored 2 great goals, played really well for England, and I don't think we've really seen him since. And I don't really know what's going on. I can't really understand it. I think it's crying out for him. I hear a lot of Man City fans who think that Torres is a great player. I mean, I know he got a hat-trick for Spain, but I've not really seen too much from him. Jesus isn't a title-winning centre forward. Sorry. And yeah, I think Man City, the recruitment's been really poor over the last 2 years, as Adam says. The players that have been let go are far better players than have been recruited. Look at Sane, for instance. I mean, he's at Barcelona. I think they're crying out for somebody like Sane.
I think Gary Neville made quite an interesting point on the weekend. He goes, yeah, everyone can say that they've lost Company and David Silva and they're going to lose Aguero now, but maybe this is the Man City team who they really are without those kind of players. And especially if you're not going to recruit them, probably everyone thought that Phil Foden, like you said, was going to be the chosen one to David Silva. But why is he not playing? Because every time I see him, I think he's pretty impressive. So Yeah, I think there's a lot of work to do in the recruitments, and I think Aguero, they can't be replacing him with a 30, 40 million pound player that no one's heard of. They're going to have to go all out for a Haaland or an Mbappe if they want to go back to the playing how they were 2, 3 years ago.
Absolutely, and I don't think Messi will be the answer.
Haaland's a shout there, mate. I think, given he has ties to Man City, Haaland is the shout.
I have.
Change of position, has
The halo. So Chelsea Everton. I mean, to be fair, I watched the highlights and well done for Everton for getting a result. They needed it. Chelsea obviously struggle against the Merseyside sides, but for me, I did think Chelsea probably would deserve a bit of a point. Don't know what you felt.
Go on, Malik. Your turn, mate. I'll have the last word. I'm fragile, Frank.
No, I thought it was great performance from Everton. I think they did get the goal in, and then they just started sat back and part of the bus for the majority of the game. Chelsea didn't look too bad, but I just think there was a lack of opportunities coming into the box. Drew was pretty bored the whole game. He was just hanging around there waiting for something to come in. Reece James had a few good attempts and strikes. I think he's a terrific player. As the weeks have gone on, I've become a real big fan of him, and I do actually think that there's a good chance of him starting in the Euros over Trent. I think. Yeah, it was a right performance from Chelsea. They did what they could, but I just think the deliveries were quite shocking and poor. Struggling to see the fuss about Havertz at the moment because he just came on, he started there and he just looked pretty poor. I think I'm very shocked to think that Mount's actually been way ahead of him in terms of ability this season.
I'll just jump in. You have the last word, but have you been? What's that? Has that CBD all been sent down to Malik's gaff? Is it the strong stuff? He must be on the old dosage as well. Reece James started ahead of Trent at the Euros. I mean, I've heard it all now. For me, yeah, as I said, thought Chelsea did seems to play all right. Thought probably deserved a bit of a point. But yeah, finish it off with your fragile Frank. I mean, I'm sure you're happy.
Well, Leeds losing. I mean, I'm going to touch on Leeds after this. I'm not ignoring it for all you shouting at the pod. But no, so Everton, brilliant. Calvert-Lewin, I thought, was absolutely excellent against a really tough back line. I just think that the way he's playing at the minute, he's way up there in terms of strikers in Europe. World class in my opinion. He didn't score, but he set the tone. Everton had 28% possession. Chelsea had 72% possession. It was wasteful possession, and I just think that fragile Frank, he was stood there feeling sorry for himself after the penalty, and Malik just said it. Havertz looks shite. £71 million for him alone. 50 million for Werner. Werner was almost invisible again. And it's brilliant because have you seen now, the fragile Frank's not happy with his £28 million keeper. He's gone and got Peter Cech out of the warm comfort of the boxes and put him in an under-23s game. I mean, just stick with one keeper, man, for God's sake. But Reece James, I said it. I watched the game. Reece James will start ahead of Trent, regardless of what you say, your rose-tinted cop-eye glasses on. Mate, Reece James, he's an animal. He dominated against Leeds, and he was the only player that stood out for me for Chelsea against Everton. He was brilliant. I think he won pretty much every single one-on-one. Anyone that came his side, and then he almost got a free kick at the end. His delivery's great. He's filled out. I remember watching him for Wigan, the year where Leeds famously lost to 10-man Wigan, and it was no surprise. Reece James was playing CDM, and he ran the show. Well, it's famous in my eyes. But no, I just think Reece James has moved on, and his sister plays for England as well, which I think is fantastic. Great sporting pedigree. I know you like women's sports, and all that. But no, so yeah, I mean, just brilliant Everton. Good to see them back winning. Great to see fragile Frank losing, and Reece James for England.
Interesting. Reece James playing well against Leeds. I mean, if he had a game against Henshaws, you wouldn't be congratulating him. So there's not too much difference there. He's a good player, but he's no Trent Alexander-Arnold. When he's won a Champions League and a Premier League, he can come back to us. But I think we'll finish on, in terms of the Big Six, the final Big Six member not to win, making it a full house, is Arsenal. Now, this is the one that me and you got right, isn't it, Arv? I think we both predicted 1-0. Both brilliant. Spot on. Tottenham Hotspur's biggest local derby rivals, etc. I'm sure, Adam Malik, you're happy to see what Mikel Arteta's doing down the road.
Yeah, well, firstly, I think we're all disrespecting Leicester now. I think we need to start taking Arsenal away from the big six.
Yeah,
I think
fair
Leicester
point.
now are the top six. I think I've loved it. I think it's been absolute comedy. Ended my weekend lovely watching Xhaka get sent off and Aubameyang score his first goal at the Emirates this season, which was an own goal. And was at the gym this weekend. I was loving seeing grown old men crying, wondering that they're thinking that their club actually might be relegated this season. So yeah, buzzing with all of that, and I think keep Arteta in as long as possible.
I think he's now Bucky's favourite to be gone. I think he's got a couple of hard fixtures coming up, so if he doesn't get through them, I think he could be a goner by the new year. I did enjoy DT's reaction on Arsenal Fan TV. I don't know if you've seen it, but I mean, we mentioned them last week. I think if you've got to take them for what they are. It's comedy gold. I mean, watching them lot all cry. Robbie sat in the background, just shaking his head. It is funny.
The best bit is when they score and he jumps up and his wallet falls out. I mean, he couldn't even pantomime it. He couldn't even make that up. It's just absolute nonsense, isn't it, Arsenal Fan TV? But no, I mean, Arsenal are just lucky that there's three worst teams in this division this year. Or they could be in genuine trouble.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I think Malik would be a big advocate of a Rio-style contract for Mr. Arteta. I don't know yet. Give him the empty sheet and let him do what he wants. But we both said it. A shithouse 1-0. Chris Wood should have scored, to be fair. And Arsenal got away lightly, if you're asking me. And Aubameyang, congrats on your first goal in open play in a while. He took it well. But no, I don't know. I'm not skirting the subject. I'll just quickly brush on Leeds before we wrap up. Leeds, West Ham on Friday night. I've got to eat a bit of humble pie. I did say 4-1 Leeds, and we just didn't turn up. I think West Ham were excellent. I think we couldn't match them physically. Declan Rice versus Phillips was a fascinating battle in the middle of the pitch. Haller, I mean, it could have been more if he wasn't playing up front, to be honest, mate. And it's the first time I've got a bit worried, got a bit of the old, twitchy ass, that bottom foot free. Thank God for Sheffield United and West Brom is all I'm saying. But I think, we go again on Wednesday. But I got to give all credit to David Moyes. We've bigged him up last time, and without Antonio, they look a really good side. And then, fair play to him.
He's doing a great job, is David Moyes, to be fair. I mean, he's not the only one doing a great job in the league. I mean, I will just have my thought on Leeds. I think, as I say, I'm not surprised they lost that game. They're not sort of the media darlings that they were at the start of the season. I think everyone's sort of catching on to the fact that you get past them, they're quite easy to play around. I do think
them scoring 2 set pieces, mate. But apart from that, yeah.
Well, it doesn't matter. You lost again. Very few poor results. Obviously, going away to Everton, I think, has sort of saved you from the bottom three. As you say, there are some sides at the bottom of the league that are absolute dross. So, as Sheffield United are competing with Derby of 2007 or whenever it was. Or a long time ago, Robbie Savage's Derby, but they're not the only team that succeed in West Ham. You look at Saints, they're doing a great job. He's doing a fantastic job. 3-0. Sheffield United, I know they're an awful side, but you still got to score them. I think they're third in the league at the moment, just about 1 point behind Liverpool, ahead of Chelsea. He's going under the radar since they got beaten 9-0 at Leicester. They've done a phenomenal job. And all credit to Brendan Rodgers at Leicester once again. Another cracking result. Brilliant manager, and I think he's deserving of a big job soon. I know what you're saying, Leicester are a top 6 now, and they are. They've won the league and they've been in the Champions League and stuff. And I'll be inclined to agree with you, Malik. But he's doing a fantastic job, is Rodgers. I'm sure you'll agree.
Yeah, I think he was also, I believe, Daniel Levy's first choice for the Tottenham job before he approached Mourinho. And I do feel like, we would be playing a lot more attacking style of football. And I do think he's a terrific manager. I think he did a great job at Liverpool. He was let down the season after you came second in terms of recruitment, replacing Suarez with Ricky Lambert. But I think he's a top manager.
No, I couldn't agree more. And obviously, I think that's pretty much it for the football. We had touched upon the games that were coming up this week. I mean, obviously, there was the Liverpool Spurs game, the big game. I think we don't want to overdo it in terms of giving the fans too much stuff. I hope you've enjoyed this one. Adam has been with us, and he's going to be with us again. We've got another podcast coming out on Thursday. This should hopefully have dropped Tuesday. We've got the boxing. It'll only be a short, brief one, obviously. Pulev and AJ went at it on Saturday night in a cracking fight for the heavyweight championship of the world. Anthony Joshua came through and hopefully setting himself up for a massive showdown in 2021 with Tyson Fury. So we're going to be briefing over that and obviously having a look to Canelo versus Callum Smith. And Callum Smith's got the chance to for glory, for history, to go down as a great in British boxing. I think he's slightly underrated. I know you're a big John Ryder fan, Adam, but yeah, we'll touch upon that, and hopefully you guys will be looking forward to it. So we'll love you and leave you and speak to you soon.
Yeah, all the best. God bless. Come on, you Whites.